Xcel Energy is under a spotlight anytime Coloradans are in the dark lately. From its planned power outages and high winds to yesterday's unexplained outage for 195,000 customers, including the airport. Our Marshall Zellinger is still trying to figure out what happened.
These cups, the central utility plant outside DIA, they make a good play area for birds and a picturesque setting when a bird lands behind it. They don't power the airport.
Heating and air conditioning, yeah.
The airport is powered by 2 substations, which are powered by Xcel. While Xcel told us both substations remained energized on Sunday, Xcel said a transformer failed, and that caused a power issue across the metro area.
Wasn't quite an outage, as it was an interruption.
DIA maintenance director Dave Matos said the backup switching from one substation feed to the other caused a dip in power, like a home circuit breaker tripping.
And so our techs have to run around and kind of reset stuff. Walkways, elevators, the walking conveyances, those did require a reset.
While it would be easy to blame the power bump, the airport is still trying to figure out why the trains briefly stopped. 44,000 Core Electric customers also lost power, but Core stopped receiving power from Xcel at the end of last year. The power it does rely on, though, can travel through transmission lines that go through Xcel territory. Calls to 911 in Parker and Aurora were also knocked out for a short time.
Every bit of Aurora's equipment, all of our operating systems, our computer-aided dispatch, our radio system, our call handling system was operating exactly as it should.
Aurora 911 could make and receive 10-digit calls, like if you were making a regular phone call. It was just the 911 calls that did not work for 24 minutes Sunday afternoon. 911 calls to Aurora were rolled over to Arapahoe County, and between 3 and 4 p.m., there were 144 911 calls to Arapahoe County. Of those 144 calls, most of them were callers reporting a power outage, not the type of emergency 911 is meant for.
And that is anything that is related to your immediate physical safety or the safety of others.
For some perspective, the next busiest hour for Arapahoe County 911 was 27 calls. Compare that to the 144 during the first hour of the power outage. And one other thing, I know we heard feedback that the power outage website for Xcel was down. I asked about that, how that related to the outage. I was told it was intermittently accessible for 90 minutes, which if you reverse that, it was unaccessible for 90 minutes, and it really didn't. I don't have the.
Why aren't you doing a story about when their website did work, Marshall? But clear up to the governor. Folks have been really frustrated with Xcel's communication, and that they want answers.
I asked both DIA and Aurora 911. Do you expect to get an answer, perhaps even more so than the public? DIA says they're an absolute good partner. They expect to hear something. Aurora 911 just said we want as much transparency out of as we would expect from anybody.
All right, Marshall Zellinger, thank you. President Trump today directly linked his retaliation against Colorado to his political ally Tina Peters being in prison here for leading a breach of election system security. And Trump's latest comments about her case call into question whether the president even knows what Peters did to land her in prison and unleash his retribution on Colorado.
She was in charge of a voting area, and she saw boxes of votes come in. So she went over to check it, and they put her in jail for voter manipulation, and she's still in jail. And they better let her out fast. And they're suffering a big price, Colorado. They have this woman in jail who's 71 years old and probably has cancer. She's sick. And they put her in because she challenged somebody that was dumping ballots into a box, okay? And they didn't put them in jail.
What President Trump said there is almost entirely, like word for word, false. Have no idea where he is getting this story about Tina Peters challenging someone dumping ballots into a box. We have covered Peters for 5 years and have never heard anyone claim that. What Peters did is well established. Even her own legal team admits it. They just say that it was justified. Peters snuck a hacker around security protocols using another person's ID so that hacker could make a copy of election systems. She's not in jail for voter manipulation like President Trump said, whatever that means. She's in jail on 4 felonies and 3 misdemeanors for her role in that election systems breach, which did not impact any actual votes. Trump also claims that Peters probably has cancer. She had cancer years ago. Recently, she had a cough, which her lawyer says has improved. All of this to say, it is not clear if President Trump knows what Tina Peters did to land in prison, leading to his campaign of retaliation against Colorado, where he's withheld disaster funding, tried to freeze federal spending here, vetoed a clean drinking water project, relocated a military command, and is closing a major science lab. A federal judge is once again ordering the Trump administration to allow members of Congress to conduct surprise visits at ICE detention facilities. This is a legal win for congressional Democrats, including 2 from Colorado, who say they're being illegally blocked from doing oversight at detention facilities. Colorado Reps Joe Neguse and Jason Crow were among several Democrats who sued to overturn a new Homeland Security policy that requires members of Congress to give a week's notice to get in. This came after Crow says he was turned away from the ICE facility in Aurora. Back in December, a judge temporarily blocked the policy, ruled it was likely illegal. DHS tried to reinstate it and used it to turn away lawmakers from the ICE facility in Minneapolis. The same judge blocked the new version of the policy today. Again, she said it likely violated federal law. In her order, the judge said that members of Congress have even more reason to be doing those oversight visits now as Trump's immigration crackdown in Minnesota becomes increasingly aggressive. The Department of Homeland Security has argued they found a legal loophole to get around congressional oversight. The judge's order is temporary. She says she'll look at it again in 2 weeks. Democrats at the state capitol are pushing a package of immigration-related bills this session that would require federal agents to remove their masks. It could open them up to civil liability. But constitutional law experts tell our Angeline McCall some of these proposed state laws may be more symbolic than impactful.
On the steps of the state capitol,
it's up to us to stand together and protect each other.
Lawmakers are finding a fine line between local legislation and federal immigration policy.
We are saying enough. Enough of kids sleeping on cement floors torn away from their parents.
Democratic lawmakers announced a package of bills, including allowing state lawsuits against federal officers, along with other bills yet to be formally introduced, like banning federal officers from wearing masks. The bill's sponsor says they could be held liable for impersonating a peace officer.
Violates the law should be arrested. Our local law enforcement have jurisdiction to investigate crimes that happen in our state.
Democratic Representative and bill sponsor Yara Zakai says she anticipates pushback, but not necessarily legal challenges.
When an agent breaks the law in our state, we do have the right to investigate that.
Lawyers say other states are seeking similar remedies and finding challenges too.
So we still have a significant way to go in terms of being able to understand whether or not this is going to pass a constitutionality test here in Colorado. But we're also starting to see some of these challenges again out of Illinois. We've seen them out of California.
Jasmine Chavez, attorney and professor at MSU Denver, says legislation like local police enforcing an anti-masking law, for instance, might be difficult and not every county may cooperate. And that's if it passes through the legislature and any other legal battles.
And for the most part, what we've seen historically is that the supremacy clause as well as the immunity clause is going to win at the end of the day, right? If it's about a federal enforcement strategy.
Time will tell which bills pass.
Where there are rights, there have to be remedies.
If they do pass, the next question is if they'll be more than symbolic. Denver City Council has already proposed anti-masking legislation on the municipal level, has many stages to go. The Department of Homeland Security has already said if that does pass, they'll disregard that ordinance and they will continue to mask up in Denver.
Angeline, is there conversation there at the Capitol among these legislators about whether passing some of these bills, especially if they're symbolic, right, might just draw more ire from the Trump administration than they're worth?
Well, certainly we know that there are concerns from other states who are passing similar legislation that they have seen increased enforcement, and that's something that we haven't seen here in Colorado yet. With that being said, with putting this package of bills forward, if they do pass, and if we continue to see really more pushback, not only against federal agents, but policies that the Trump administration are essentially encouraging right across the country, certainly I think that would be cause for concern for a lot of people here in Colorado of, does that mean increased enforcement here down the line?
Angeline McCall, thank you very much. The Colorado Senate is close to passing a bill that would expand the state's red flag law. Democrats want to add to the list of people and institutions that can go to court to ask to temporarily confiscate someone's guns or have them confiscated. Democrats advanced that measure over Republican opposition today. If this passes, the bill would allow health care facilities, behavioral health centers, schools, and colleges to petition a court for an extreme risk protection order. You can go ask for one of those if you believe that somebody is a danger to themselves or others. Those orders, if approved by a court, allow law enforcement to confiscate someone's guns for up to a year. The state's original red flag law only allowed law enforcement and family members to request a protective order. Critics argue expanding it is an infringement of Second Amendment rights and that it will discourage gun owners from getting mental health treatment. The bill still has to pass a final vote in the Senate before heading to the House. A Colorado House Ethics Committee is going to meet tonight to discuss complaints against Republican Representative Ron Weinberg from Loveland. This ethics complaint from a Republican colleague is the latest in a string of claims that Weinberg is constantly saying creepy sexual stuff around women. The ethics complaint, filed by Republican Rep. Brandy Bradley, accuses Weinberg of obtaining a master key, using it to get into the offices of other legislators at the Capitol without permission. When we reported on that complaint last year, Weinberg denied having the master key. House leadership said there was no evidence to refute Weinberg's response, but they had several offices rekeyed for security. The complaint also accuses Weinberg of making inappropriate sexual comments and intimidating female Republican legislators. An ethics committee made up of 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans will consider the complaints for a series of meetings. Weinberg withdrew from running for a House leadership role over similar allegations last year. He was accused by 2 women of making inappropriate sexual comments before he became a state legislator. Weinberg has denied that. The ethics complaint also accuses Weinberg of using campaign funds for a variety of personal expenses, like trips to the barbershop and casino, and sponsoring an Israeli rugby team. The Secretary of State's office is still investigating that complaint. Weinberg defended the expenses with Colorado Newsline last year, saying, quote, "Everything I've done campaign-wise is not in violation." My thanks to you for your support of the nonprofit Thriving Families. They help expectant mothers and women with newborns as they prepare for a safe and healthy life with their baby, even if their lives haven't always been the most stable. Between one-time donations and your estimated monthly contributions to the Word of Thanks Fund, you've raised more than $50,000 to expand their work. We're coming up on the 300th straight week of your microgiving, in which you've donated $17 million to nonprofits across our state. Good time to remind you that a lot of these campaigns start with your ideas and suggestions. I'm always interested in your notes about which nonprofits have earned your volunteer time or your hard-earned dollars. Nothing fancy, just drop me a note. We'll take it from there and check into what they do. Email next@9news.com or text next 303-871-1491. Wonderland Brewing put itself in a not-so-wonderful situation over the weekend after appearing to mock anti-ice protests. Sparked a huge backlash. The owner explains his thinking to me tonight. And Punxsutawney Phil has nothing on Colorado's clairvoyant critter. A dead marmot disagrees with Phil's prediction. The thoughts of current and former animals. Next.
The sun has set on a cloudy but mild afternoon. We kick off the month of February, a cold and snowy month typically, with temperatures running above the average of 44. We were in the low 50s today with some 60s on the map in southern Colorado. We'll see these numbers again tonight. That cloud deck rolls out. We await the next system approaching from the northwest. There'll be some mountain snow showers in the morning, and for Denver, a rain shower in the afternoon, and then some occasional rain and snow showers, kind of a mix late in the day into the evening. No advisories for snow or travel, but if you get caught underneath one of these snow bands, you could see a little bit of light accumulation, mainly tomorrow night into early Wednesday. So we're happy to see any moisture at all. Temperatures will not trend overly cold with this fast-moving system. We'll look for highs back in the low 50s Tuesday and Wednesday with clearing skies. Southwest winds push us into the 60s for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Super Bowl Sunday.
The most Colorado thing we saw today is getting a meteorological second opinion. Because why not trust the predictions of a dead rodent? Each Groundhog Day, Boulder County Open Space brings out Flatiron Freddy, a top hat wearing yellow-bellied marmot who was formerly alive. People dress up the dead animal each year, and we are supposed to act on the news like this is normal. This year, Freddy's handlers curled him out, a tribute to the Winter Olympics that are coming up. They announced that he did not see his shadow, but again, grain of salt, he's dead, he's not seeing anything. But if the prediction holds, we're in for an early spring. Freddie also threw in a bonus prediction that the Patriots will win the Super Bowl. Handlers say as a rodent, not a big fan of the Hawks. If you see something that feels like Colorado to you, email it to us, next@9news.com, or text next 303-871-1491. A small business in our state really stepped in it over the immigration enforcement debate. The owner's response appeared to make things worse, but he agreed to talk to us about it today. Hey, reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m., 9 News Plus, and Next is a podcast, wherever you get those. Various businesses across America closed Friday for a protest against President Trump's immigration crackdown. It's called the Ice Out protest. Wonderland Brewing in Broomfield stayed open and posted a message on Facebook appearing to mock the protests. The owner initially apologized, then doubled down, attacking his critics and lashing out against cancel culture.
I'm not that smart or politically correct. I fall somewhere in the middle. I piss both sides off.
Wonderland Brewing owner Robert Lucero says he doesn't regret his vanilla ice post telling customers to stop in for a beer while other businesses were closed for an anti-ice protest.
I thought it was funny. A lot of people thought it was funny until one person said it's not funny.
A bunch of people, actually, in a city where Donald Trump lost by 30 points. Democratic State Rep Kenny DeWin of Broomfield joined the online chorus of criticism, calling the post cringe and tone deaf.
The people who are complaining, I don't think they are actually customers. I really don't. I think they're in their basement, in their mom's basement, typing on their computer, complaining about stuff.
Lucero deleted his post, then put up an apology he says was written for him, then took down the apology and put up a post framing himself as the victim, then deleted that and put up a 488-word screed against cancel culture written for him by a lawyer friend.
This has just been a really unfortunate weekend. A lot of misunderstandings and a lot of really hateful people. That's what I'm dealing with.
Is what happened the consequence of your actions, or is it people being unfair to you?
Honestly, I think that I have bad judgment.
Lucero says, for the record, he is not a supporter of President Trump's immigration crackdown. He offered that he didn't vote in the 2024 election, didn't like either choice. He also added that the past weekend sales were up 20%. We're back with your feedback next. Thank you, Marilyn. Feedback just in from Jeff tonight, who writes, "How dare you besmirch Flatiron Freddy? My grandpappy and his grandpappy before him relied on Flatiron Freddy to determine what the next 6 weeks of winter will bring. If we can't trust Flatiron Freddy, who can we trust? I apologize to you and to everyone else who relies on that dead rodent for meteorological prognostication." This from Sandy, who writes, "I usually watch Fox 31 News, but as I was fixing dinner, Kyle Clark came on my TV, and now I know why I watch Fox 31. Sandy, I'm very sorry for interrupting your supper time. I respect your decision to watch Fox 31, and I'm glad that you have choices in local news."